Music you hear in the background is by our special guest today, Danny Roselle of the fantastic New Jersey band, the Mylars. Hey, Danny, how are you?
I'm great, Lee. How you doing today?
Good, good. Well, as good as can be expected with all that's going on around us.
I know.
It's a little tough as far as baseball is concerned, but we've got playoffs starting tomorrow, actually tonight, as it's being recorded. So anyway, want to introduce Danny Roselle to everybody from the band The Mylars, one of our favorites here at Radio Jersey. So let's talk a little bit about your, first of all, let's talk about your baseball background.
Yeah, so I guess, from a very young age, I just had a passion for baseball, just as much as music. And all throughout my life, up until, leaving for college, I was torn between what I wanted to do. And, growing up, I grew up in a town called Union, New Jersey, which isn't too far from where I live now. And Union, New Jersey was a huge baseball town growing up. I mean, it was all about it was all about youth in general, youth sports, but baseball in particular. And we had all the older dads and grandfathers in the neighborhood. What they did was on Sundays, they worked on these fields. So these fields were like amazing. And it was all the blood, sweat, and tear of the parents and the grandparents. So the fields were meticulous, and Union was a very blue collar town. It wasn't, very well to do. It wasn't, it was very middle class, blue collar, but we had such a passion for baseball. So growing up as a little kid, my dad was a huge Yankee fan. And which spurred my love for the Yankees up to this day. And I just started playing Little League at 6 years old, t-ball, and played all through the Union Little League system. And then when I loved it, when I got to when my choice came up to go to high school, I was, in public school in Union, going through junior high, and the opportunity came up. My father said to me, "Would you like to go to Seton Hall, which is a big baseball school?" He was thinking, "I'm going to send my kid off there for an education," and I'm thinking I'm going for baseball.
Right.
So I
famous baseball school to begin with. I mean, you had Biggio and a bunch of others.
Yep, I ran to Craig on a couple of occasions there, but so for high school, for Seton Hall Prep, I jumped at the chance. I said, yeah, of course, I would love to go there. And I'm thinking, man, this is going to be great. I'll get to play baseball all the time, and I did, and I loved it. I played all throughout my high school years at Seton Hall, and yeah, I just loved it. I played under a very great, the Shepherd dynasty at Seton Hall, which, the Shepherd name is pretty renowned in
absolutely
in New Jersey. I played under Mike Jr., who was the coach of the varsity team at Seton Hall Prep, and his dad, as everybody knows, was the coach of the university.
That's right.
And so that's how it happened. And I played baseball all the way up through, and then I had a hard decision to make, when it came time for college, to keep playing or and I got an opportunity. I was offered to play for Seton Hall University, and it was a tough decision. At that time, it was, I didn't see that, I was going to go any further than that with baseball, just because of just the way it was. I felt I was a good player, but I wasn't good enough to go, all the way or anything like that. So, and my other passion, probably around sophomore, junior year of high school, was music. And that kicked in full steam to the point where I would sometimes be, late to the practice field because I was out at a gig too late the night before. And, and that didn't sit well with the coaches,
I can imagine that.
So at that point in time, it was like, okay, you need to choose what you're going to do. What do you love them both, but what do you love more? And what do you see more as a future for yourself? And I chose the road of music, but baseball has always been almost just as big a part of my life.
Great. And music has a lot, a lot of people that are playing baseball these days. pros especially are involved in music. And
Yeah.
I mean, there are great stories of Ron Guidry taking lessons from an old friend of ours, Jack Scarangella, in the warehouse area of Yankee Stadium before he goes out to the bullpen to warm up. And the drum kit there actually got passed on from player to player. When
Wow.
Guidry left, I think Wade Boggs might have taken it over, Willie Randolph, Paul O'Neill. It was a tremendous situation there. But anyway, let's talk about music, in particular, your band, the Mylars.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Well, it's actually, I'm really happy to be on your show right now because we're so excited to announce that after a 2-year, I wouldn't say hiatus, but, with everything going on around us, just the unfortunate situation, the Mylars had to take a back seat for a couple of years. We've been working on the new record, but it's been a little hard with social distancing and everything, and being safe and being careful. And we finally got the record done a few weeks ago, and the record comes out, the first single comes out on October 9th, which is a week away.
Right.
So we're really, really excited about that. And then the record's due to come out probably right before Christmas, like late November, early December.
Oh, that'd be great. It'd be great to hear because your music is really fantastic, that's for sure. So let's talk more about baseball. That's why we're here. Of course,
Hey?
that you're a lifetime Yankee fan. And we see the babe in the background behind your chair.
Oh, yeah. He cheers us on when we're doing vocal tracks. He doesn't know it, but
okay.
And then his that quote up there. We love that quote. I don't know. Can you see the quote?
Barely.
It's I swing big with everything I've got. I hit big or I miss big. I like to live as big as I can. And it's true. You just go for it. You know what I mean? You can't, if you're second guessing yourself or thinking about it, you're not putting your all into it. You know what I mean? So that's how I've always lived. If you're going to fall hard.
There's a bunch of big hitters that swing like that on the Yankees these days, especially Luke Voigt. In my house, every time Luke gets up, I'm screaming, Luke!
Oh, right. Like Lou Piniella back in the day.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, he swings with everything he's got almost every time. And the same thing with Aaron Judge. But, what were some of your favorite players besides the Babe?
It's funny. Whenever I go to the stadium, I always take my son, both my boys with me now. I have 3 boys, but my littlest one's too young. But we wear our jerseys, and I always show up with my Mickey Rivers number 17 jersey.
Wow, yeah, the Mick.
I'm the only one in the stadium that's got it sometimes, but everybody's like, Mickey Rivers. Mickey Rivers was my favorite Yankee. I think just because he was just so comical. He loved the game. He played it with a passion. He was so fast on the bases, Mick the Quick.
Right.
He was so exciting, and at the same time, he was like a comedian. He was a comedy. He kept the team laughing and keeping it light in the clubhouse, which I loved.
He looked like he was hurt almost all the time. Anytime you saw him walk out to center field, it looked like he was limping or he was like shoulders were hunched over. He was an amazing player, but then that kind of fooled everybody.
I think that was his MO. I think he walked hunched over and then, oh my God, the speed of that guy. So I just love the 70s Yankees. Oh my God. Bucky Dent, Willie Randolph, Chris Chambliss. I got to meet Chris Chambliss. When I grew up in Union, we had this department store called Two Guys. And it was like the pre-Target, I guess,
Right, sure.
And every once in a while, maybe like once a year, you would read in the Star Ledger, this Yankee is coming to sign autographs. And oh my God, it was like the kids in the neighborhood would line up and we would all flood Two Guys. I met Chris Chambliss that way, and Cliff Johnson, who was a more of a DH for the Yankees back in those days. He was there. Who else was it? I met Willie Randolph during that time.
I did a clinic once with Willie Randolph and John Monefusco, the Count.
Oh, the Count, yeah, sure.
The Count's always had a reputation. But
sure.
Willie was a gentleman like you wouldn't believe. Treated me as an equal.
Aw.
and was tremendous with the kids. Unbelievable. I mean,
What?
he was all smiles, just the ultimate professional that you
Oh,
would see. And of course, the ultimate Yankee because he represented the Yankees.
unbelievable, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that combination with him and Bucky. Oh my God.
yeah, yep.
Just like
Right.
and Nettles. Don't forget Nettles at third. Oh my God.
I'll
That
tell you a good story about Nettles. I had worked with a few scouts before I joined the Cubs, and one of which the guy had worked for the Twins. And he told a story, and I use this whenever I do clinics because I tell ball players that you've got to be versatile and learn a whole bunch of positions. So
Right.
anyway, they had this player in the Twins organization in the minor leagues, I think in the California League, and he was a second baseman. And the word came down from the front office to start playing him at third base, teach him third base.
Okay.
So his father got involved and said, "You're going to ruin my son because he's always been a second baseman. He's been an all-star throughout his career. You're going to ruin him trying to make him into a third baseman."
Right.
So he continued, and it turns out it was Greg Nettles.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah.
He was the second. I had no idea he was.
Yep.
The way he played the corner, you would never think he was a second baseman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think, back then when you start seeing players, and you know this probably from watching, the best player that you have in your neighborhood could be the worst player you see at a tryout because there's so many great players around. And of
Sure.
course, at second base and at shortstop, you usually get the guys from the Dominican Republic.
Oh, forget.
They got
Yeah.
quick hands, they got quick feet, and of course, what better, especially if you're a growing kid, to play the hot corner. If you're a good ball player, you can play the hot corner, and you're probably good at it. And that's what happened with Nettles.
And he had a cannon, so for an arm. So to just imagine he was at second. Not that second base is you need to have an arm, but not like third.
Right.
And
Right.
the diving plays that he would make and throwing guys out, it was
Tremendous, tremendous, and a great hitter too. And
he was.
that's amazing when you see all that combination of talents he had. You knew why the Yankees wanted him.
And he was a switch hitter, wasn't he?
No, I think he was just lefty.
Was he just like? Oh, yeah. Wow, that's right.
Right, just lefty.
God, yeah. Wow. Unbelievable.
So who else did you meet in those days?
Let me see. Well, so a little bit of an unfortunate situation led to this meet, but so growing up, my closest cousin, I was an only child, came from an all Italian American family,
Right.
and but Italians have a habit of like your cousins are as close as your brothers and sisters.
Right, exactly.
They just are, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, we're all in each other's business 24 hours a day. That's how we roll. So my closest cousin growing up was a couple of years older than me, Michael. And when we were kids, he was about 14. I guess I was about maybe 12, 11. He had an unfortunate moped accident. And he was hurt really bad. He was in the hospital for quite a long time. We didn't know if he was going to pull through. Thank God he did eventually pull through, but he was in the hospital in a coma for a couple of months. And
wow.
Yeah, it was really serious. And he was as big a Yankee fan as I was. As big a Yankees. I mean, that's all we talked about when we get together was the Yankees. Well, my aunt reached out to the Yankees organization and told them, that my cousin was, not conscious yet. And that, if there was anything they could do, that, he loved the Yankees so much, and maybe somebody from the organization, maybe they can visit him at the hospital. That would be really uplifting. So one day I went to visit my cousin, and I'm getting in the elevator to go up to his floor. And actually, he had just come out of being unconscious. He was conscious at this point, for just literally very recent. I get in the elevator, and who walks in but Bucky Dent? And he was like one of my idols. So I was like, I didn't know what to say. And I said, Mr. Dent, how are you? I'm a huge admirer of you. And he was the nicest guy. I said, I take it maybe you're coming up to see my cousin. And he said, are you Michael's cousin? I said, yeah, I am. And he said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry for what happened." I said, "He is going to be beyond over the moon to see you." And
Jump out of bed.
yeah, right. And next to Bucky wasn't alone. Bucky came in with Kurt Bavacqua, who I believe Oriole at that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Kurt, and the two of them were like the nicest guys on the planet. They both came in, and you could see like my cousin was starting to come out of it, and his eyes just lit up when he saw the two of them. And a funny story, Kurt actually came back a couple of times to see him, you know, kept coming back. And I think at one point, when my cousin was able to speak again, Kurt said, "You know, who's your favorite team?" And then, of course, my cousin Michael says, "Oh, the Yankees." You know, gave it right back to Kurt.
Sure.
But yeah, that was how I met Bucky, and yeah, and Kurt the same day. It was amazing.
Yeah, I have a cute story about that as well too. I had met Walt Weiss when he had just got Rookie of the Year award, so we had stayed in touch. And my folks lived out in California,
Mm-hmm.
too far from where the Oakland Athletics. A lot of them lived in this one neighborhood. So
Right.
my father was in the hospital for a heart operation, and I had asked Walt, you know, if he could go visit. He did, actually. He gave him a autograph photo and everything. It was quite uplifting. I mean, it's great that baseball players have that effect on people, and you know, use their notoriety to great things that they do.
I agree. I got to, another funny story is I got to, so when I was a kid, you know, my dad was always like, "You got to get it." Even at 16, he's like, "You're not hanging out for the summer. You need a job, right? You know, you want to spend any money, you're going to get a job."
Yeah.
So my dad had a car lot in our next town over, which was Hillside, New Jersey, which literally borders Union. And I lived on the side of Union that was almost on the border of Hillside. So I worked at the local pharmacy, and my job was to, you know, work the picket machine at that time, or when I turned 17, make the deliveries in town. So Phil Rizzuto was one of our customers.
Yeah, he lived in Hillside forever.
He lived like a mile from the pharmacy, and it was hysterical. He would come in with baseballs all the time, sign to us, and you know, I remember one time he came in and our boss told him that the prescription price had gone up. Holy cow! I was like, there it is. There he said it. So
yeah, he was a great Italian too. Right?
Yeah, he was. He was. So I got to see Phil quite a bit. He would probably came in maybe once a month. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, Danny, we're running out of time. Unfortunately, we could go on for hours and hours talking baseball and music. I want to thank you very much for stopping by, spending some time with us, and good luck with the new album coming out.
Thank you, Lee. Thanks for having me.
Our thanks today to Yankee fan and lead singer of the Mylars, Danny Roselle. See you next week, folks. Take care. Good night.